Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome. Oh, my dog just started barking there. I don't know if you can hear that, but that was Luna and it sounds like something's really ticked her off. Either that or she was just saying hello to y'all as well. So, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, welcome to part two of the Cat Tarot walkthrough slash interview slash exploration with the lovely creator Malamir Logan. Now, whilst I remember, I'm going to pop this same ticker on the screen that just explains that Malamir's joining us by audio only. And that's because Malamir's having some ongoing health issues with vertigo and stuff. So she's not able to be on video with us. Malamir, hey, how you doing?
Hello, hello. And also, just so you know, there's a bit of a delay here. It looks like things are freezing a bit on my end. So I'm missing some bits and pieces here and there, but thank you so much for the kind introduction, Chris, and for having me on again. And yes, just fair warning to folks, today is one of the really, really rough days vertigo-wise. So I told Chris it's entirely possible I may need to tap out at any time, but I so appreciate the patience and understanding.
Yeah, so folks, we're just going to see how we go. We are, in addition to Malamir having a rough day with the vertigo, we're also having a rough day tech-wise, it would seem. I'm not sure if there's anyone here in the chat. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop open YouTube as well, just whilst I'm talking to you, and have my chat up on the left-hand side. But I'm curious to know how this is coming across on YouTube. Whether you guys are seeing me, hearing me okay. Seems to be okay on my side here, so it does. So that's not too bad. Let me just... Right, okay, my chat has popped out and it's over on the other side. Think I'm coming across okay. Malamir, hopefully you're able to pick up enough of this to understand what the hell I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So if there's anyone here in the chat, say hi. Let's, hear your thoughts, hear your comments on the deck, on the cards that we're showing. The format that this is going to take, we are going to look at the 4 aces, chat about them, then look at the 4 twos, and so forth and so forth. And that way we've got 14 groups to look at rather than 56 cards. I figured that might be things might run a wee bit smoother and a bit quicker that way. So without further ado, I'm going to turn on the table camera and we're just going to get going with it, because I'm conscious that time is precious here. So in front of me here, I have the 4 aces. So, I guess the first thing I'll explain. So Malamir is the creatrix of the Chakra Healing Tarot, as well as the Cat Tarot that we're here to talk about. And in the Chakra Healing Tarot, each of the cards has an associated is associated to one of the 7 chakras. And the aces in this deck are all associated to the... Malamir, you stop me if I'm talking rubbish at any point, but they're all associated to the crown chakra. So in each of the ace cards, right, we see the crown chakra as energized, highlighted, whatever you want to call it. In the Cat Aura Tarot, each of the cats has this aura around about them, and we also see these sparks coming off of the cats. And the color of the aura and the sparks corresponds to the chakra. Okay, so what we see as we look through is that the color that's accentuated in the cat aura is the same as the color chakra that's accentuated in the Chakra Healing Tarot.
That's okay. Right. You got it.
So, so is there anything particular that you want to say about the aces, Malamir?
Just that that in the aces, each of them is a kitten as opposed to a full-grown cat. It's just like a little detail to notice. And just a reminder for if folks didn't see the first video we did of the majors. In the minors, each of the minor suits takes place in a specific part of the world that the cats are in. So the wands take place in sacred grottos, which are like caves that have lots of naturally streaming sunlight. And so in the wands, you can see, you can see the open space and these magical floating little islands that the cat is being led to reach this beautiful, magical, sacred tree. And in the world of the chalices, which is just another word for cups, this world takes place near streams and lakes and other little bodies of water. So the cats are near water to refer to the water element. For swords, the cats are all, you'll see a lot of open sky. These cats are below a lot of open sky. So here with the swords, you can see that this cat is sitting on top of an old fence post, looking at this bubble, and there's a big open sky to represent the air element. And then finally, the world of the pentacles is all, enchanted, forest and woodland and meadow to really speak to the earth element. So I just wanted to point that out as we're getting started.
Amazing. I love this Ace of Wands, can I just say? I love them all, but the Ace of Wands in particular, this looks to me like stepping stones. I know you said they're islands, but it looks like stepping stones, and for me, the wands are the kind of they make me think of like things like our career, things like passion projects. Things that get us fired up, and it's stuff that really takes all of our attention once we're in that zone. And the idea of the ace being the spark, the kind of a new the new inspiration. I think with wands, with projects, with enterprise, with passions, it is kind of important that we can see where it's going. We can kind of see some of the steps ahead. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to get that inspiration up and going. So I do actually quite like that we see that there.
Yeah, and just and a detail about that too. If you notice, the little sparks are kind of leading the way for the cat. Like they pause over the floating stepping stone islands.
Brilliant. Okie dokes. Shall we move on to the twos?
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, that Two of Cups is really cute. I love that with the black and the white cat.
Thank you. Yes. So the twos correspond to the third eye chakra, which is why the shade of purple is a deeper shade. And one little tidbit to notice about the Two of Wands is if you look really closely at the stones that are protruding out of the water that the cat is looking at, what do you see? Does it look familiar?
I need to hold it closer. It looks like the Earth.
They are continents. So so the idea, it's kind of an homage to where the Two of Wands in the RWS, the person is holding the globe. It kind of it speaks to that idea where the cat is deciding on its next steps and where it wants to adventure to next. And so those stones kind of reflect the shapes of the continents.
Yeah. I like this kind of it looks as though the cat's in a wee cave, but there's a kind of an opening to the outside world that's shining a light onto the kind of other continents.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is a common feature of the wands. because in Chakra Healing Tarot, the wand energy was in the kind of lava, the fiery lava that was in the caves for Chakra Healing Tarot deck. But for this deck, it's all that natural light that is shining into these and just streaming into these sacred grottos.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that catches my eye before we move on. Was there anything else that you wanted to comment on? Oh, look at this wee Robin and the Two of Pentacles. Wee Robin
Yeah.
Redcliffe.
Well, that was actually something I was just going to say is that as much as this is a cat deck, there are certainly other creatures that make their way into the deck. There are various kinds of birds, and there are butterflies and bunnies and ducks and other other little animals that make their way in to be friends with and guide and be helped by these magical little cats.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really cool. And the Two of Swords is beautiful. It puts me in mind of the traditional Two of Swords. Actually, it's got those elements that it's got the crossed swords. It's got the crescent moon. So you can certainly get from that what you would normally get from a Two of Swords card, which is quite cool.
Thank you.
Okay. So on to the threes then. And the threes went on to the throat chakra, aren't we?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So we're seeing this kind of a blue colour theme that takes over in the threes. This Three of Chalices is really cute.
yeah. They're three very happy little kittens. And something I just want to mention about the reference to the throat chakra is that, the throat chakra, I think sometimes people just think it's about communication. They think it's about talking, but it's also really about expression and communication. As much as we correspond those to the throat chakra, it doesn't actually require talking per se, right? We can all express and communicate in a wide variety of ways, and how we think about how we communicate or what we aspire to communicate. Like, these are all elements of expression and communication. So I just wanted to point that out, because I think sometimes people think, oh, well, it's only about talking. And but I think there's an important association there, like, with the Three of Swords. And that's often a very difficult card. And here we have this poor little cat who's clearly seen better days, is looking a little beaten up and worse for wear. But there's also an element of, so when you find yourself in those kinds of situations, those Three of Sword moments, how are you communicating with yourself? What are the things that you're telling yourself? What are you allowing your beliefs to be? What are your beliefs currently? And how can you start to think about aligning what you're thinking and perceiving and communicating for your path forward? So that's just a small example of thinking about the application of chakras and auras to these tarot cards. And also, I mean, the guidebook will have a message from every single card, as well as the associations and key phrases. So people don't have to worry about, how do I interpret this? I mean, you could absolutely interpret intuitively, but the guidebook will have all that information.
Yeah, cool. Talk to me about the Three of Pentacles. So the Three of Pentacles, we're used to seeing that as a kind of a collaboration type card, or like a working hard, like in order to build something or achieve something. That's obviously quite a different image here, or at least that's the way I picked up on that. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Like the Three of a car.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So In this is another example where it's not only the cat that's on the card. There's actually two birds that are sitting on the tree branch.
Yep.
And because the Three of Pentacles, it can get at the idea of collaboration, but it can also get at the idea of doing really diligent work that may or may not be under someone else's watchful eye. It could also be under the watchful eye of some other aspect of ourselves. And so here, I think, some people might think, oh, well, this cat looks like it's relaxing. Well, if you've actually ever observed a cat grooming themselves, there's nothing relaxing about it. They are detailed. They reach every single nook and cranny. And, that is actually just a part of cats and felines in general, their own psychology and their evolutionary cycle. So for cats, they survive in the wild and have survived in the wild over millennia because other creatures don't smell them, right? They make sure they have no scent, and they do that by being very diligent and careful in their grooming. And so this cat is grooming itself, and these two other birds are onlookers to that diligent work that the cat is doing. There's a single tree there. We know that cats like climbing trees, so who knows what this cat will do later. But at this point in time, that cat is very diligently focused on a very important task.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm glad I asked, because you're so right. You're so right in what you're saying. Like when they are cleaning themselves, it's a big task, and you've obviously explained that they're doing that for a very kind of I don't know, a reason, an evolutionary reason type thing.
Yes.
So that's so interesting. I was going to say something else there. Yeah. I think it's just that. Yeah. My words are escaping. We're talking about the throat chakra here, and my words are escaping me. So let's move on. The fours. Okay, so onto the heart chakra with the fours. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and I just want to mention while we're on the Four of Chalices, again, this is just reminding folks, this is a prototype. So there are, the whole idea of printing a prototype is to catch anything that you didn't catch when you're, communicating with the artist who lives in a different city from me. And also just to see how the coloration has worked when printed. And so the chalice, the floating chalice, so you see there's the three chalices that are kind of sitting below the ledge that the cat is sitting on.
Yeah.
So the fourth one that's floating, there's actually going to be another little magical swirl around that one too, just to make it even more clear that it is in fact floating. So I just want to point that out. So there are a few pieces in this deck where we will be making minor adjustments, and that's one of them. And so that, just so folks know, that change has actually already been incorporated in the final version that will be sent to the printer.
Lovely. Really nice. This is really cute, this card. I like the image of the cat resting, because it does look really restful and peaceful. And it's a nice Four of Swords. Oh
yeah. I know. I would like to. I'd like to be able to be that cat, right, with that beautiful view and just truly resting and replenishing. And this cat is also, you can see it's just soaking up the sun, and because I think when we think of resting, I think sometimes we think of it almost as a passive action, as opposed to, well, when we're resting, we're actually regenerating, right? And that's really important when we, for example, you know, our cell phones, we can't just endlessly use them. We have to plug them in to recharge them. And so, you know, this is to kind of speak to that idea that when we are, whether we're resting from effort or whether we are meditating and being really intentional, that there is a purpose there, and that is to help regenerate ourselves.
Yeah. Brilliant. And this almost looks like the counterpart to this. So that's Four of Pentacles cat clinging to that tree.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is
There's
that
a lot of work and effort that's going into self-preservation there, right?
yeah, yeah,
You see all
exactly.
the little fish in that the cat has stowed away in the tree.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So there's a fish in its mouth and it's got a wee stash of
Yeah,
fish in the tree, is that right?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. Um I actually think it's really nice that you depicted it that way because I suppose there would have been a big temptation to just have something more traditional with the I know you've got the pentacles in the grass obviously, but have something more traditional with it clinging onto the pentacles. But I mean cats don't cling on to coins, so
No.
that wouldn't
Yeah.
make as much sense. Whereas the way that you've depicted it makes sense, which is nice. And I think that's a big thing throughout this deck, as you've done it in a way where it does make sense. So I think you've done a really good job there.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was really important to me and that I discussed at length with Ella Mazur, the artist, who, you know, really did an amazing job at bringing my visions to life so skillfully. And that is that it was really important to me as someone who is a cat mom and has been a cat mom for a very long time. I really wanted these cats to be cats. I wanted them to behave like cats behave. And so, and also with the Four of Pentacles, you know, I think sometimes there's also a temptation for people to only think of the negative connotations of the Four of Pentacles. But, you know, my own philosophy on tarot is that every card is actually neutral and can have positive and negative meanings and associations. And so, you know, you could read this both ways that, you know, well, the cat is preserving itself. It's being smart. It's setting aside enough food for itself so that it can be prepared. It's having boundaries, you know, by being up in the tree and being smart about where it puts its food. But then, you know, by the same idea, you could also read into it that, well, you know, does the cat actually need it? Will the cat get through all those fish before they're no longer good to eat? Right. So I think it gives that kind of opportunity to think about it in those ways. And, you know, cats, I think sometimes people think that cats are solitary creatures, but actually cats quite frequently live in communities. And so, you know, they do better together. Even in the wild, felines are in community. So I think there's also opportunity to, you know, read into that this cat is alone in this tree by itself with its fish.
Nice. I like a card where I can get the positives, the positive side of the card, the shadow side of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Also something where I can just get something a bit random and a bit different and not normally associated with that card, you know?
Yeah.
Like a card that can give me all three of those things, I think is well, to me that's a pretty decent deck. Um, just out of interest, the flowers on the Four of Wands, what are they?
Those are orchids. They're white
Ah,
orchids.
okay.
Yeah, and orchids are, you know, as per the SPCA, are considered safe for cats because, you know, that's something I said last week is any plants that the cats are near, like if they're really close, if they're able to access the plants, basically, I've made sure that they're plants that are not hazardous. So, for example, you won't find any lilies in this deck. Because, you know, for people out there who are cat lovers or cat parents, if you see a lily, your heart rate probably goes through the roof because they're fatal for cats. So there are no lilies in this deck, even though lilies are very common in the RWS deck. So that was an intentional choice. But yes, those are orchids, and the wands are tied up in the orchids as kind of an homage to the structure that we see in the RWS Four of Wands.
Yeah. Yeah, that archway. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, shall we move on to the fives?
Yeah.
Now, we're still with the heart chakra here.
That's right.
Okay. So let's just take in those fives for a moment.
Just in speaking of minor tweaks that will be made to the Five of Wands, the sky has actually been lightened just a tad. I mean, not so much lightened as edited to be more like a very late dusk time, just so that it's a bit brighter on the card. So that was one of the opportunities to improve the coloration on the card.
Okay, nice. Very nice. So let's talk a wee bit about the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords. So, I mean, in traditional decks anyway, these can be quite similar cards in that there's a kind of a competitive feel to both of them. You know, there's a bit of a, maybe a little bit of a fight feel to both of them. With cats, it's maybe a bit more difficult to depict the difference between the, you know, the nuances between those two cards. So talk to me a bit about both of these cards and what you were depicting when you kind of thought of them.
Absolutely. Okay. So the Five of Wands, there's a little bit more chaos going on. There's a little bit more chaotic kind of energy, which, you know, I mean, and associating the fives numerologically with change, you know, change is often very uncomfortable. And it can feel chaotic. And so you see, for example, that the Five Wands are kind of all askew in this situation. But, you know, one of the way that cats play, they can play fight, right? I mean, lots of animals play fight, but you know, this has been very intentionally depicted to potentially look like play, right? Like nobody looks like they're hissing at anybody. You know, there's lots going on, and you know, and we're not seeing any of the really aggressive posture that comes up when cats are being aggressive. Now, you compare that with the Five of Swords, and there is clearly, like, this is aggressive fight behavior, right? You've got a key, you know, aggressor, or a cat who appears to be the key aggressor on the left. And then you've got these two other cats who are not so sure, you know, if this is a fight they even want to have. And also, if you notice where the swords are, it is deliberate that the swords that are underneath, like on the fence underneath where the left cat is, are upright, and then the other swords are kind of fallen over askew. It's, you know, it's really important to me that the imagery allow for associations and those kinds of nudges that can psychologically help us when we're working with the tarot, and to show, because, you know, I think sometimes the Five of Swords is, I think sometimes there's a temptation for people to say, well, you know, that on the traditional RWS for the Five of Swords, you know, there's the person standing, you know, with these extra swords that, you know, that he's won, you know, we're assuming, and two other people who are walking away kind of defeated. And, you know, we often ask ourselves, well, was it worth it? Like, yes, you've won, but at what cost? But to me, it's very important in tarot that we consider all the perspectives that are taking place in a given tarot card, particularly when there are different characters. We can actually zoom in to consider, well, what is the perspective of that, say the main person? What's the perspective of one of the people who walked away? What was the perspective of the other person who walked away? Because sometimes walking away is the best thing we can do. Sometimes people will just be aggressive for aggression's sake, and there is value in walking away. Other times, we actually need to be the aggressor. Sometimes we need to hold our ground because what we're up against it calls for us to be more assertive. So I've tried to allow enough space in the imagery to allow for all of those pieces.
Brilliant.
I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, it 100% does. And I kind of had my own ideas about it, but like, yeah, what you're saying totally makes sense. This just feels much more kind of a aggressive, maybe a bit malicious as well. Whereas with this one, I mean, you're right, it does feel a lot more like play. Like, there's lots of things we can look at here. We see that one cat is actually lying down. Cat behavior a lot better than me, MALUMIR, but I can't imagine that a cat's going to be lying down in a situation where it's uncomfortable.
No.
You know
If
I mean?
a cat feels threatened, if it is, even if a cat is very unwell, cats have this kind of survival instinct where they are really good at hiding the fact that they're not well. So even if a cat is not well, if it is under threat, it will not be lying down.
Yeah, and with these two, we almost get a kind of a protective feel.
Yeah, really.
So that just feels a lot more kind of a good-natured than what this situation does.
Oh yeah.
So no, I think it's depicted well. I was just interested to, I guess, hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I would not mind being in the cave with the cats and the Five of Wands. I don't think I'd want to be close to the situation unfolding in the Five of Swords. I would rather be at a distance, preferably in a indoor situation or behind a window where I could watch it unfold. And even then, I don't know that I'd want to watch it unfold.
Yeah. I was kind of interested because this might be me going off on a tangent. I promise I'm going to try and not talk for too long during this particular live. But so there's these videos that go around on YouTube and TikTok and all things like that, and it's cats with the cucumbers. Have you seen them?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. They do freak out, and it's because it's like an evolutionary thing. It freaks them out because it's like it reminds them of a snake, and I mean snakes are a very real threat to cats. But also, it actually makes me really angry when people make those videos. Like, what on earth is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Like, it's not funny. Like, you're terrifying another creature. What on earth is wrong with you? People need to stop making those effing videos.
You are touching on my point like completely here, because the point that I'm making is people make those videos to laugh at them and basically to take advantage of these poor wee cats who are clearly terrified, right?
Yeah.
So for me, there's a real cruelty aspect to that.
Yes.
And I know that the Gold Dawn keyword for this Five of Swords is sometimes cruelty. So I was actually wondering whether, before I'd seen the deck, I wondered in my head, I was like, I wonder if she's going to use that to depict that cruelty aspect.
The only thing with that is that in this deck, there's no humans. Like, humans have been gone for a long time. So there is nobody who would place a cucumber in front of anyone. If anyone is encountering a cucumber, which somebody does, it's a naturally occurring cucumber. So like nobody placed it there. It does feature in the deck, but it's more of a natural, like the poor thing is terrified, but no human did it to the cat. There's the humans have been gone for a very long time. The cats rule this world.
Right. Okay. That makes
sense. They should, right?
Well, I don't know. I think in my post-apocalyptic world dogs might rule Malamir, but
Possibly, possibly.
but we'll see. Right, okay, on to our sixes. In fact, since we're approaching halfway through these, let me just do a quick check-in with you. How are you getting on? How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm still feeling the same, but I'm managing. But I appreciate you checking. Like I said, if I need to tap out, I will let you know.
Let
if
me
I need
know.
to tap out.
I know. I know. Don't worry. I'm not going to keep on it.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
don't want to keep
yeah.
asking after every group of four. Do you know what I mean? But
No, I
I
get
did
it. No,
just
but
want to make a point.
I really do appreciate it though, because yeah, this is it's been super rough.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Okay. Our sixes. So I'm just having a look just now to see if there's anything that I particularly want to ask. Um. Okay, that Six of Wands is interesting. I'm going to hold it up because the imagery is maybe a wee bit darker in my lighting, so I want people to be able to see what's happening. Now,
Yes,
when I glance at this card, I'm getting a kind of a following the leader
totally.
type
Yeah.
image. Now, was that the intention
That's
or
exactly it. Yeah. Um, so this is really, speaking to that, the leadership vibe, because you can tell those are little kittens, right? And you could tell they're not even that well coordinated. They're kind of clambering up these stone steps, and this big cat is so graceful and going up because, you imagine when cats climb things, when they're walking along, they are so graceful. I'm sure some of you may have seen the video someone posted. They put a bunch of toiletries and other things, and they basically made a big obstacle course at their front door. They let the cat in, and the cat very gracefully navigated its way through this obstacle course without knocking over a single thing. And then they did the same thing with the dog, and the dog just kind of trundled through. So cats are very graceful.
sounds
And
about right?
so, so you see this, adult cat is leading the way as these little kittens are following and making their way up. And this is the solar plexus. The sixes corresponds to the solar plexus.
Yeah,
Chakra.
that yellow.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really like about this, so see, because this is like a multicolored cat, black and white cat, and then the kittens are like white and black, and I'm not sure if this one maybe looks a bit grey, but it's almost like these are the like that's the and like when you look at this, you're seeing right, okay, this is a parent and these are the kittens, but there's also a part of me that kind of goes off on a tangent and is like, right, well, are these like the different aspects of the self coming together? Do you know what I mean? To make that
Yes.
coming to that full culmination, that glorious kind of a victorious image that we normally associate with the Six of Wands, like it has that kind of a feel to it as well, which I think is quite nice.
Yes, for sure. And the which I think also reflects the idea of the harmony that we get in the
Yeah,
sixes, right?
yeah, definitely,
Numerologically
yeah,
speaking. Yeah.
yeah. What about the Six of Chalices? So tell me a bit about what that card just means to you generally and what's depicted here.
Six of Chalices. So it's an interesting card. Like you can read into a lot of things. I mean, when we're thinking about the RWS, Six of Cups, and I know lots of people say they like. I think Chris, you've even said you see an old lady. I still don't see an old lady. I've never seen an old lady. I've always seen, a young girl, and it's always disconcerted me that why is this child wearing mittens? It seems like a strange strange thing, but there's lots of meanings and associations with that, and I do think that's one of the beautiful things about tarot is getting to to think about those little details. And just as someone who is also an experienced reader, you never know when these tiny little details that may seem meaningless most of the time suddenly become 100% relevant to someone's reading, where it speaks directly to them or it's really on the nose because there was something in there. So the Six of Cups, I think we can kind of get at the idea of nostalgia and family. And nostalgia and family is not always a positive thing, I will just say. You know, there definitely, you know, can be positives, but sometimes family and or nostalgia, you know, there can also be real shadow aspects. And for anyone who knows my story, you know that I know that better than you know, lots of folks, been through a lot of things. But in this card, what I really wanted to capture was this idea of offering support, and whether and how that support is accepted, and what kind of goes into that. So, because the idea of accepting support, so, you know, when we're thinking about families and we're thinking about how, you know, everyone at some point is born into a family of any dimension, and they are reliant on their caregivers for the basic necessities of life, and for, you know, and in many ways those are supports, those are basic life supports. And so, you know, but then as we go on in life, sometimes we carry what we have learned from a young age, even unconsciously, we carry that into adulthood. You know, and that can often be just psychologically why we kind of go back and have nostalgia for, you know, moments we've previously experienced. But what I wanted to capture was this cat who is kind of, you know, below. This cat's kind of hiding out in these rocks, and, you know, maybe this cat is not having the best of times, right? Because again, most cats actually don't want to be on their own. They want to be with others and in community. And so you've got this cat who's, you know, found this place to hide. Things aren't, you know, maybe the best. And then this other cat has come along and is peeking down and is, you know, encouraging the other cat. So for folks who know cat body language, there's no aggression happening here. You know, the cat's just kind of peeking down and saying, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on? You know, do you want to do you want to come with me? Do you want to you know, do you want to say hello?" And so there's an opportunity here to think about, where are the stories that we have about how we are able to receive support. You know, I will say the past few months that I have not been well, and that I've been, you know, very committed to recovering, it's been a real point of learning for me. You know, I was, because of my own circumstances growing up, what I learned was that it was not safe to try to receive support, because I wouldn't receive it. Right. What I learned was I just had to, you know, I had to support myself, and that others were not going to be there for me. And the past few months, and I mean, all the work emotionally, you know, and with professional counseling, and spiritually and professionally, that, and growth through growth mindset that I have done, you know, over the years, led me to a place such that, you know, I have made healthier and better decisions about, you know, the people that I have in my life, and the quality of those around me. And what it's meant is that, being unwell, I've kind of been forced to contend with, well, maybe it's okay to receive support, right? Am I turning away the support that's right in front of me? Am I blocking it out, right? Is that cat in the rocks going to accept the friendship and camaraderie of this other cat who's come along to say hello? Or is the cat just, you know, going to say, well, you know, no, I'm just going to stay in my rocks? Sometimes there's a time when we need to, you know, make our own choices and go our own way. But then there's lots of times where we actually benefit from accepting the support that's in front of us. That was a very long explanation.
That's okay.
Like, I'm not feeling well, so I hope it made sense. It's kind of feeling all bungled in my head, but I hope it made sense.
It made perfect sense. And I mean, listen, don't worry, don't apologize for long explanations. That's what we're here for. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that strike me about the Six of Chalices. First, this is really random, right? But this card looks really fragrant to me. So I'm
Yeah.
seeing these kind of I don't know if that's in the background or the foreground, but
That's
I'm
the
seeing these kind of
background.
background. Right, okay, I'm seeing these together with the flowers and the cups. It just looks like, a very fragrant atmosphere to be in. And I know that for us as humans, the sense of smell is like it's the one of our key ways to tap into memories.
Oh,
It's
yes,
one
it
of the key
is.
ways that we tap into our history, to nostalgia, to
Yes.
things that remind us. Um, so that's just a wee interesting thing. But yeah, I mean, the Six of Cups. If we think about the transition from the five to the six, like the five, we're hurt when we're going through a really difficult time emotionally, and the six is when that situation harmonizes itself. It's where that
Yes.
situation starts to right itself. So we're to me here, we're seeing this cat here who's been through that journey of the Five of Cups, who's been through that kind of a painful journey, who's maybe still part of them is still kind of a suffering from what they've gone through. But we're seeing it's the kindness,
Yes.
the kindness of others. When someone reaches out to us, when someone takes an interest, when someone kind of just reaches out and they put you first, that kindness is often what lets us get back to that emotionally safe and just content space.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
feel as though that's what we're seeing here. And yeah, I think it's depicted really well, and it's a really sweet card. And I struggle with like the Smith Waite Six of Cups because I really don't like. I mean, like I've said to you, it looks like a wee old lady to me. I just don't. I don't quite, and no one looks sad or like. I, I just I don't really get much from that card. It's like pulling blood from a stone. I can get something from it, but it's to me this is a much more raw and a lot more hard hitting Six of Chalices, I
Thank
guess
you.
is what I'm trying to say. Um, just quickly, the Six of Swords and Six of Pentacles was not really touched on them, but I mean, the guidance that we're seeing in the Six of Swords,
Oh,
like I
yes.
think if you think of your traditional Six of Swords, we're seeing people basically putting their faith in that ferryman. It's like these people have been through a hard time, and they're trusting someone else to take them from that difficult place to the calmer waters that we see. Here we see the cats following this kind of a wee dragonfly type
That's
thing.
right. It's a dragonfly.
Um, yeah, we also see the pathway that's been created by um the sparkles, or whatever you want to call them. This is almost creating a
Yes,
pathway for them.
exactly.
Um, Also the expansive sky, we see a really starry sky, and some of the stars are really
Yes.
clear. And I suppose that reminds me of how a lot of us look to the stars for guidance. You know.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, there's some really kind of a nice aspects of that card, and then the Pentacles. We're seeing um this cat's working to get food for its kittens.
Yeah, they're
So
cherries. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
because the little kittens they don't quite have the agility yet to jump up onto the tree and reach those cherries, but the adult cat is up there and dropping down the cherries for the little kittens. Um,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and yes, with the Six of Swords, you've got your adult cat and the kitten who are being shown the way. They are being shown the
yeah,
way, and isn't that something that we all always need? And I really wanted, so that's the Milky Way up there that we're able to see in the sky in the Six of Swords. And that feeling of kind of wonder and awe, and don't give up, the kind of don't give up feeling that you're being shown the way. Keep the faith, that kind of idea I wanted to be evident in the card.
yeah. Great. Let's press on. So Seven of Wands, Chalices, Swords, and Pentacles. I had a wee moment there where I thought I'd got them out of order, but I've not.
So just so folks folks are aware, sorry, some of the colors in these cards were turned a little dark, so they have been brightened appropriately for the final version. And just reminding folks that this is the prototype. Yeah.
Brilliant. Where I'm drawing, I'm actually drawing in a few directions here, but the first thing that takes my attention here is this. This reminds me of the devil card, so it does.
There is a similarity there where for folks who haven't seen the devil card, in the devil card there is also a creature that has been a shape that has been created by the sparks as a thank you, Chris, as a distraction. And just another reminder, folks, the devil card is another one where some of the colors are being lightened and brightened. So in the devil card, you've got this fish distraction with that very angry, scary looking bird of prey and the tiny little kittens who are not even noticing they're being shown the way out of the situation. And then the 7 of Swords. Now, one of the differences here is that in the devil, it's not actually clear who is creating those sparks, who is creating the fish. Whereas in the 7 of Swords, if you look at it, it's actually very clear that that little kitten, you see the kitten who's sneaking away. There's those 3 very aggressive cats who are on the roofs of those old buildings. And you've got this little skinny kitten who's also possibly seen better days, who's sneaking away from these very aggressive cats. But that kitten is the one who is deliberately creating the distraction of this scary looking bird of prey. So, and it's working. Those other cats are certainly distracted. And, this is to get at the idea of, with the 7 of Swords, traditionally with the RWS, there's this element of sneakiness or deception or getting away with something. And, as I mentioned earlier, my philosophy with tarot is that every card has positives, every card has negatives, and every card is also neutral. And so what that gets at is that, well, sometimes, it means that, well, it's not good if someone's being sneaky with you, right? Manipulation is also not a good thing. But also, sometimes we need to be savvy, right? Sometimes we need to use our intelligence to be really perceptive and discerning in situations, right? There's a time and a place to use our intelligence in those ways. And it also kind of connects in with the 7s, which, you've come from the time of harmony and balance that we see in the 6s. And then on our way to the 8, which is where there tends to be more energy, it's a bit of imbalance that's created, which also shows up in the way that the swords are placed on the buildings. So anyway, that's what's going on there. But I love, Chris, that you saw the the connection between the devil and the 7.
Yeah, right away. I absolutely love the colors in this card. I think that these colors, the way they contrast each other, this shade of blue, it is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning, can I just say? It took me, it took me a wee minute looking at the card to actually see what was happening in the card because I was that kind of a taken with the colors. Now, I don't know if I'm seeing this right, so I'll tell you what I see here, and you can tell me if I'm seeing something, if I'm seeing something different than what you intended. By the way, I just realised I never really said hi. Well, I never said hi to the people in the chat out loud. So there's only a few people here, so let me say hi to Deanne, to Simon, and to Stephanie. So hi everyone. I hope that you're all doing okay, and it's lovely to see you here.
Hello everyone. Thank you for being here.
Okay. 7 of Cups. So I'm seeing all of the different kind of choices or all of the different things that's taking this cat's attention.
Yep.
But I'm also seeing these kind of this water that's breaching through and it's filling up.
Yes.
This lake. This cat has been distracted by them, and it's only got so long before it's going to find itself in deep water and trouble. And it's that idea of the distraction, you know, that you're caught up in this illusion. If you don't pull yourself out of it soon, then you're fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
you're in
yeah.
a
Yeah,
real
I have to
spot of
make a
trouble.
choice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it reminds me of the. Do you have the Brady Tarot?
I do, yes.
Right. It reminds me of the Seven of Cups and the Brady Tarot.
I
Or the
can't
Seven of
envision
Wands.
it.
It is.
I can't
I
envision
can
what that one looks like.
maybe find it for you if you want. Um, I'll need to find the Brady Tarot itself first.
Well, how about while you're finding it,
Um,
I can tell people what the little things are about. So just to describe
Sure.
to people, the water that's pouring into the cups is coming out of spouts that are in the rocks. And so the spouts, above each spout is a different little creature or object. So starting on the top row, we've got, and I did choose all of these intentionally. One is a dragonfly, and then we've got a songbird, and then there's a piece of broccoli. For anyone who has seen the cat video where the little kitten is eating broccoli and making the very happy munching noise, there's a piece of broccoli. There's a little butterfly on the bottom row from the right. There is a mouse, and there is a small beetle, and then there is a pigeon. So there are these 7 objects that are above each spout. And again, that's to get at the idea of the RWS 7 of Cups, where you have very different kinds of items that are, kind of floating in front of the person. And it also gets at the idea of sometimes the overwhelm, right? Like there are some things where it's more clear. Well, that could be a distraction because, and then other times we may wonder, well, why is that a distraction? It's there, but like, why is it there? And what is it? There's a bit of mystery to it. But anyway, sorry, you wanted to make the comparison with the Brady Tarot?
Oh yeah. So this is the Brady Tarot, 7 of Horns, and
Oh yeah, and
there
there's
that
water.
is the
Yes,
mythology.
yes.
So in the Brady Tarot, what we're seeing is these beavers have built a dam, but they're sleeping, they're dreaming, they're away in dreamland, and whilst they're away in dreamland, the key word is breach. So the water is breaching their dam, and if they don't wake up soon, then they're going to be in trouble because this isn't going to last, forever. And I get that same amazing interpretation from the Seven of Chalices here. So I do really like that. I think that's really cool. And I think this is really cool too. So is this basically the cat's sitting waiting patiently for dinner to arrive?
Well, this cat has this very magnificent nest. But this nest has taken quite a lot of time and effort to construct, and it's not just made of twigs. If you look carefully at it, there's lots of other things in there. There's some berries and other fruits. There's feathers. So there's leaves. They have very carefully gathered all of these things but they're not actually asleep, right? There's still like that idea of assessment that we get with the 7 of Pentacles, of, wow, you've put in a lot of effort, but now we're sitting there and we're assessing, we're thinking, we're contemplating, is this enough? Where should my attention be? Is there something else that needs more? Or maybe I just need to take in what I've done. So anyway, I really tried to get that idea of assessment, that this cat has built up this whole magnificent nest, and now, they're not even sleeping in it.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. It's really funny because I see something different with that card. It looks to me like the cat has squeezed itself into a bird's nest.
Into a bird's nest?
It's sitting, waiting patiently. It's just waiting for the bird to come back. It's waiting
that
for
would
its
be
dinner
very
to be brought to it on a platter. Yeah, exactly. So to me, it does mean Seven of Pentacles to me, because it's that idea of patience. It's that idea of waiting for the right time to strike. You don't want
Hmm.
to strike too early, because then the bird will probably see that you're there. So it's all about timing. So that is the way I see that, and to be honest, that's probably the way I'm going to see that when I use the deck.
Which is good.
Um,
Like, and that's, I think that is part of the magic and beauty of tarot, is that each each person sees in the card what they need to see, right? We receive the messages and we perceive the messages that we need to when we're ready for them. And and maybe there is a message for you in that, on something that you need to wait for just the right time for.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, and it's all about food with me, so
Oh yeah, I
Um,
get that.
right. Eight of Wands title is being changed.
Yes,
Um,
yes. So the
so it
title
does
and some of the
imply,
coloration, so the Eight of Wands, both the title, there was a bit of a typo, so that will be Eight of Wands, and the color of the ground has also been brightened because it ended up being quite dark. So that is being updated, as well as for the the Eight of Chalices. The colors there are also being excuse me, brightened, just to make it clear that those stone steps are actually in water. That's water that thank you, Chris. Yeah, so those colors are being brightened to make that clearer.
yeah,
And there's
yeah,
also some brightening happening in the Eight of Swords as well, with I believe, with the grass, to make it a bit to enhance the color.
yeah. Cool. So I'm just taking the opportunity to neaten up the piles of
Yeah,
cards
yeah,
here, because they're starting to all merge into one. It's
yeah.
annoying
Yes.
me. This card is really nice. Like, I know the Pentacles are all about the meadow and stuff, but my eyes are drawn to the beautiful cloudy sky
Oh
over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, Ella did an amazing job. The So for folks who haven't followed me on Instagram for any time, and I haven't been able to the past few months just because I haven't been able to do my usual outdoor activities, but the sky is really important to me. I look up to the sky a lot. It's always been really important for me. I find a lot of clarity and peace in the sky, and so I'm just so grateful that Ella, was able to create these gorgeous skyscapes throughout the deck.
Yeah. No, it's the images are beautiful. What was I going to say?
Yeah, so this is
Oh, I was.
the Eight of Swords as well. Sorry, the other correction taking place in the Eight of Swords is that cat will have a like a bottle brush tail. So right now the tail is like a normal looking tail, but when cats are frightened, their tails kind of all puff out. So that cat's tail has been puffed out for the final.
Nice.
But yes, this is the cucumber card, where this poor cat is terrified
Oh yeah.
of this cucumber, and also, and I'll just take the opportunity to let folks know that in the guidebook will have a brief art description for every card, just in case people are curious about, well, what exactly is going on in this scene. There is a description in the guidebook for each card, in addition to
Brilliant.
the message from the card and all of the associated phrases.
Great. Tell me about the pumpkins. This card has a very kind of a sound feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea of the eight. So I think it gets at a few ideas here. So first of all, we tend to associate a lot of repetitive effort and labor when we're thinking about the eights, right? It's about putting in work and getting better at it, or maybe it's very routine work that is just really repetitive, and But, typically the work that we're doing is for the purpose of some kind of harvest. We're not usually just randomly doing the work for nothing, right? So I tried to pick up that idea by placing these cats in a pumpkin patch, kind of alluding to the idea of harvest. But what we see here is we have an adult cat who has a lot going on. There are 5 kittens in this scene. It's like, one of those children's books, can you spot all the kittens? And it's kind of chaotic. The kittens are playing and pouncing all over the place, but it's the end of the day. And this adult cat is trying to gather all the kittens into their little hay nest to be warm for the night. And, it's like they bring a kitten back to the nest, and then the kitten runs off to go jump onto a pumpkin. And so then they go retrieve another kitten and bring it back. And in the meantime, they're doing a lot of, yeah, exactly. So that sense of repetitive work and a lot of effort and harvest is captured in that scene.
Yeah.
And the 8s also they relate to the sacral chakra. So, which also gets at the idea of creativity and and creation. And I think just to pause on that concept for a moment, because I think sometimes some folks might think, well, I'm not a very creative person, right? What does the sacral chakra have to do with me? But actually, every single one of us creates things every day. Maybe not everyone is an artist, but we create things. We create our day. We create our decisions. We create, we create food to eat. We create lots of things. We create our thoughts, and we create our beliefs that we choose to accept. So there's a lot of creation that happens amongst humans. And so that's why it is represented through the sacral chakra, right? There's an element of, well, what are we creating here?
Yeah, sacral chakra. I know I'm by no means a expert, but my way of thinking about the sacral is it's like your physical footprint on the world around about you. So it's the way that you impart yourself, on around about you. So that creativity, like the way we physically touch our environments and stuff like that. To me, that's when we kind of do that, that is our sacral chakra at work. Whereas maybe like the throat chakra is more, it's more the way we kind of impart our inner selves. Do you know what I mean? Our non-physical selves on the world around about us. This is my weird way of thinking about those two chakras, but it tends to work for me.
Yep.
Okay. On to the 9s then.
Yes, sure.
Oh, I love these. I love these images. There's a couple of images that I'm loving here. The 9 of Swords stood out to me right away. Like when I first looked through the cards, each time I've seen it. In fact, I think I was showing it to, who was I showing it to? It might have been Justin. Yeah, I think I was gliding Justin earlier on, and I would show them this card. This is absolutely stunning, but so too is this 9 of Chalices. Like just there's something about the way that the colors hit me. That's really, really nice.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a wee bit about the 9s. So I'm just looking at what I want to say. Well, let's go with the 9 of Swords first, since it's
sure.
had such an impression. So first of all, I love the use of lightning and such a high energy air card.
Yeah.
Like lightning is when air starts to get really kind of a high intensity.
Literally electric.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the use of that in cards like this. There's another deck in the 10 of air. It has like a tornado. And all that really kind of a chaotic air energy, and I just love it when a card does that. So I think that's stunning. This kind of a reddy orangey, which ties in nicely with the chakra that it's aligned to.
The root,
But the
yes.
color scheme that it has is also just beautiful. So
And the
yeah, and
swords are, and you can see the homage there to the RWS Nine of Swords, the way that the swords are in a row like that. Because for those who are familiar with the RWS Nine of Swords, there's the person in the bed with their head in their hands, and the nine swords horizontally above them or behind them along the wall, just kind of hanging there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel really bad for this poor cat.
Yeah. It's going through a lot, and there's a lot on its mind. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like a lot of the time we think, if I can just align my thoughts, if I can just clear my head, if
Yeah.
I can just get my thoughts straight, and yet in the Nine of Swords, both in your deck and in like the Smithwaite deck,
Yeah.
the swords are perfectly aligned,
Yeah.
but there's sometimes where it doesn't matter how you spin it, it doesn't matter how you put it across. Some things are just that shit. Do you know what I mean? Some things
Exactly.
are just difficult, and it's not.
Precisely.
Sometimes it's not about the person's outlook. Sometimes it's not a person that just has a negative outlook.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
a lot of the time, people are just going through something really difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
thought
No,
that's interesting.
you're exactly right. Because sometimes people call the the Nine of Swords card the like the nightmare card or the anxiety card. And I was, I'm thinking of someone I know who for years was medically gaslit as, being hypochondriac or something like that. And they were being told that their anxiety is what was creating all of their symptoms. The reality was, once they got in touch with the right doctor said, no, actually, you have medical issues A, B, and C. And these are causing all these symptoms, which are causing your anxiety. And so, I think that really, what you said, Chris, really sums that up, that sometimes bad things are happening. And sometimes we also just need to accept that. We need to recognize and acknowledge that the bad things are happening. And, sometimes also when we're going through hard times and we're feeling awful, we also need to make a decision to do something for ourselves to support ourselves. For example, getting additional supports or getting additional help that we can. Anything that we can do to try to help ourselves to end some of that stress cycle, which also then speaks to the nines numerologically in terms of cycles, because these things can become cyclical, right? But yes, exactly that point, that I think it's important to recognize that this is not a card of it's all in your head, right? It's speaking to the fact that you're going through something.
Definitely.
And that
Yeah.
also connects with the root chakra, right? And the sense of security and stability and safety or lack thereof.
Well, yeah. And do you know, it's interesting that we're just naturally talking about the idea of gaslighting when we're talking about this card, because you see the spark and you see the almost like the explosion of the sparks are creating almost
Yeah.
this explosion around the cat.
Yeah.
The spark and the explosion, the
Yeah.
spark to the gas.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm going to think about gaslighting, the concept of gaslighting, whenever I see this card now, which is
I love
pretty
it.
cool. Yeah, the Nine of Chalices just looks really peaceful, as does
Yeah.
the Nine of Pentacles actually. So if we look at these together, um,
Yes. So there is slightly different energy going on between the chalices versus the pentacles. So in the chalices, this cat is quite happy and playing with these leaves that are hanging down, right? So with cats, you know how they tend to love pawing at things like strings hanging down, and they will often do this when they're lying down. They like to, I mean, sometimes they do when they're sitting up as well, if you're playing with a string or, you know, a hanging feather or something. But they'll see something that's hanging down and they'll just start batting at it playfully. And for them to do that, there's a sense of joy and safety. And you know, this cat is just very satisfied, right? This cat is in a very satisfying location. You know, clearly they have somewhere cozy that they can be, and they can just play and feel at ease, you know, in their situation. The cat in the Nine of Pentacles is not playing. That cat is just sleeping. The cat is soaking up the sun. And there's also a sense of time of year here, because those are dandelions. And if Stephanie's still on, Stephanie will remember the name for what the top of the dandelion is when it turns to the fluffy seeds. I don't remember the name. It's not coming to me at this moment, but you know, speaking to that time of the summer when the dandelions, you know, come out and they start to turn, and there's a real sense of that kind of, you know, that warmth, sunny energy. And, you know, that cat has really, you know, has earned that, and can just be fully at ease.
Definitely. It's quite, I like that these two have a similar feel to them, because to me these are about the two different types of richness that we can experience. So we have one cat in the Nine of Pentacles who's, you know, got richness of resource. You know, these pentacles can represent the resources that they've got, that they've accumulated from themselves. They've got this expansive field, you know, all of this space that they can play or, you know, enjoy. And then we have the kind of a richness of heart, you know, the emotional richness, maybe not so much physical richness, but emotional. So we see this really peaceful scene with a kind of a tree silhouettes in the background, the beautiful tree. You know, just this really kind of a meditative place that it looks like the cat is, if that makes sense to say.
Oh, totally.
So yeah, I like that there's a similar feel to both of these, because to me that makes sense for the card. Stephanie says Papus or Papus.
Oh yeah, Papus. Thank you, Stephanie. Yes. Yes, that's what the tops of the dandelions are when they get all fluffy, when they turn fluffy like that. The groups of the seeds, the fluffy groups of seeds are called Papus. Thank you.
That's funny. Did you ever do the make a wish thing? You make a wish and then you blow them?
Yes, I haven't done that in years. Actually, it's harder to find dandelions these days. I mean, people are not supposed to be using the weed killer that kills them anymore, just because apparently, like, some of that weed killer is like toxic to not just dandelions. But I haven't seen a whole lot of dandelions. But next year, when I see a dandelion, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a wish.
Nice. I suppose we should touch quickly on the Nine of Wands. I'm actually quite interested to hear from you about what's happening here.
Yeah, so this is another one where some of the colors will be brightened for clarity. So what's happening is that there's a cat up top, up in the upper right. That's right. Where it's on this like nice, cozy, almost mezzanine type ledge, where there's a comfy tree growing, there's bushes, they're well resourced up there. It is still a limited space, but you know, they have some of the things they need there. And then down below on another ledge, you see three cats who are kind of poking around, exploring, and there's this sense of this cat is being very watchful, right? The cat up top is being very watchful. There is, you know, deciding, is there a need to defend myself? If I want to stay up here for any length of time, do I actually have what I need? And is anything missing from that? So it, you know, it's the idea of trying to get at, you know, when we think of the 9 of Wands in the RWS, and that, you know, sometimes there are associations of needing to defend ourselves, needing to get our ducks in a row, but also, you know, the idea of, well, where is your energetic cycle taking you, right? Is that cycle still serving you? Is that actually getting you what you want, what you need? Because by the time you've gotten to the 9 of Wands, you've come through quite a lot. And it is that time to be contemplating, you know, what is the next step for me? Do I keep going on this path because I'm a little worse for wear? And sometimes we also do need to defend ourselves, right? Being defensive can be sometimes negative, and sometimes it can also be necessary. Sometimes we need to gird our loins. So this card is meant to speak to all that. But the colors will be brightened for clarity, just in case people are worried.
Nice. Gird your loins makes me think of The Devil Wears Prada.
I love that movie.
Yeah, same. It's one of my favorites. Okay, our 10s are 10 of Wands, 10 of Chalices, of Swords, and Pentacles.
Oh, yeah. And in the 10 of Chalices, just so folks are aware, also butterflies have been added to that card. So there will be little butterflies flying around. Just
nice.
wanted to clarify that.
Nice. It's a really beautiful scene, and I love the way the water's depicted. I think Ella's done a really good job with that.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's there's a calmness there, right? There's that, you know, and especially the idea of the bench near the water. You know, often public parks, whether old or new, they have benches where, you know, people can go and sit and contemplate and just, you know, take in the beauty around them. And, you know, the 10 of cups, although I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, read into it that there's, you know, a bit of a nuclear family happening there. These are not necessarily depicted in that way, right? There are 2 bonded cats on the bench, and bonded cats can be you know, bonded. They don't only need to be cats that have had kittens together, right? Any 2 cats can bond, and then there happen to be 3 kittens in their care who are frolicking and rolling around in the grass quite happily. And it's the 10 of cups can be reason for celebration, but, you know, it could also just be sometimes a reason for serenity and enjoying and genuinely savoring and appreciating the good things that we do have.
Yeah, I think it's stunning. Something we see often here is like when we have like benches and parks and stuff, quite often you'll see them dedicated to someone.
Yes.
I don't know if you do that
often,
we have
but those here. Yes.
Yeah. So that's another nice kind of a 10 of cups feel, because it's like that, you know, the renewal of the cycle and all that kind of a thing, which is associated to the 10s.
Absolutely.
The 10 of Swords is stunning, and really hard hitting in the same way that the 9 is. You know, we see this. It's almost like a spooky, has a spooky feel to it. You know, it's one of these spooky trees, or what I think of as like a spooky tree.
Yeah.
And that poor cat, like.
Well, I know. I feel like we feel bad for this poor cat, because this does quite often happen to cats, where they, you know, being as agile as they are, they can climb up into places, but then sometimes they struggle with, well, how do I get back down?
Yeah.
So this poor cat, and I mean, just to also to point out one thing, just in case people haven't consciously noticed it, this isn't all seasons deck, right? So all the seasons are happening throughout the deck, and so this tree is quite bare, and there's also a lot of shadows happening here, right? Because when we think of the Ten of Swords and all of the associations there with, you know, with, well, things are really not great. You know, there's a possibility that someone's been, you know, set up for failure or betrayed, or maybe they've just gone through a lot. But you know, a really, like, a new cycle has to start. And you know, when we're thinking about new cycles starting, that can feel very uncomfortable. There's a lot of discomfort with that, which again, you know, correlates to the idea of the root chakra. But this is the reality that I've known. And so anyway, the idea of the shadows here, and you can even see the shadow like on the cat of the hilt of the sword that's closest to it. And this poor cat is just miserable. Like, it's raining. This poor cat is soaked. It's clearly cold out because, you know, there's no leaves on this tree. And we just feel, you know, we really do feel for this cat. There are probably other ways off the tree, but it's not an immediate simple fix. Just like in the Ten of Swords, it's also not an immediate simple fix.
Yeah. Like, even the way that the cat is shadowed almost looks like, I'm trying to think how to express it or express what it is that I'm seeing, but the cat almost looks like it's half, like there's half of it. There's a half and half look to the cat. Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, and the eyes are different colors in this cat.
Yeah,
Alligator, different colors eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. With the different colours eyes, and because half of the cat is shadowed, it has a, I don't know how else to express it except it has a half and half. It looks like, you know, the villain Two-Face from Batman.
Right.
You know how half of him has been you know, affected by, you know, depending on how you read it, what it is that's happened to him, and half of him is still just looks like a normal person, and that's kind of echoed through his persona. You know, he's very, like, he has his coin that he flips. It's the two sides of the coin. You know, to him everything's kind of a you know, black and white. Everything's like a, you know, one decision or the other type thing. I really see that comes through quite strongly in this card, just because of the, you know, the light and shadow. If it, like, on the tree as well, we see it, you know, we see the half and half, the light and shadow effect. So that's really cool.
Well, and there's a lot of starkness to the Ten of Swords, and that is intentionally depicted here.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then that leaves us with the pentacles and the wands. So let me just hold them up so people can get a good look at them. It says Sir Ten of Pentacles.
Yes. So again, we've got, you know, two bonded adult cats, and then we've got some older kittens or young adult kittens, and they've got their very cozy home. So you can see that there's you know, some of them are sleeping in the hollow of that tree, but there's plenty of room for the rest of the cats in there. And, you know, they have everything they need here. They're well protected from the elements. And, you know, and those two bonded cats are just, you know, they're very connected. They have everything that they need in this space. And in the Ten of Wands, this poor cat is clearly exhausted. You can tell even from how it's holding its ears, like this cat is sleeping. this cat is exhausted. And you can tell from the trail of leaves that are going up and down the steps that this cat has been going up and down, putting in a lot of effort to try to build up this nest, but it's not even clear that it's finished, right?
Yeah.
There's still quite a lot more to go.
Yeah. So I think that's a scratch on my card. So if anyone's wondering why there's a
that looks like a scratch. Yeah, that's not on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's stunning. Is this a pathway or is this a kind of a
That's
body
water.
of water?
That's water.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so that's us aces through tens. How are we doing? Or we okay to keep going?
Yeah, we can keep going.
Okay, we have our pages. So we're back to the crown chakra with the pages.
That's right. Which also means we're back to kittens. These are all young kittens or young cats.
Yeah. Cool. Ooh, the Ace of Swords. Oh, sorry, not Ace. Sorry, Page of Swords.
Yes, that Page of Swords has been discovering the joys of playing in the snow, but has also realized that it's only a kitten and it's kind of up to its shoulder in the snow there, and it would have a much easier time playing in the snow if it played under the evergreen tree where the snow is a little more shallow. Right? Yeah. There's an element of learning. There's an element of learning in each of these.
Yeah, learning and experience.
Yeah.
That's well, actually, both of these wee chaps are just having the time of their life, I think.
Yeah. The Page of Wands is leaping into the air to try to catch this feather that is floating down. And this cat has quite this magical little space in this grotto. And the Page of Chalices is there with their very best friend that they are surprised to learn is a duck, because they're now learning that they're a cat and their friend is a duck, and they are surprised because it's quite common that for animal behaviors, they say that where you have two different species of animals, they where they grow up together, they think that they are the other animal. So yes, so there is the element of surprise and kind of unexpectedness that is an homage to the fish coming out of the the cup in the Page of Cups. But you can tell also that the cat is not threatened by this. He's just very curious and like, oh, this is news.
Yeah, it's very Fox and the Hound. It's very building up a relationship with someone that maybe the grown-ups or the people around you, the normal ones, would tell you isn't appropriate or isn't normal, and you shouldn't be associating with someone like that. But our sweet little Page of Chalices doesn't care about that kind of thing, because they're not I suppose they're not tarnished, or they've not been brainwashed with that kind of those ideas.
Yes. Those
So
systemic oppressions.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on systems. That's another one of my key interests. I could go on about systems and patriarchy for a long time, so we won't go there.
Okay.
We'll be here for 5 more hours.
Sure. Another time, maybe.
Yes, and then just in the Page of Pentacles, if you see close to in the water, so this cat is at a pool of water, and there are these happy little turtles who are they're all very curious about each other, and that is a curious paw, right? This cat is not attacking anybody. Again, you can tell that for people who know cats, that body language is not about attack, but more about curiosity. And so, yes, this cat is very, curious and learning about the other creatures in the world around them.
Yeah, no, that's really cute. Okay, our knights.
Yes, and these are solar plexus.
Solar plexus. So our knights are our adventurers. They're out discovering who they are and getting comfortable with their
Yes.
identities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just looking at what do I want? Where am I drawing to? I'm interested in the Knight of Wands. So tell me what I'm seeing and what kind of what the inspiration and the idea behind this card is.
Yeah. So this cat is about to leap. So you can kind of see where the sparkles have led from.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can see that there's a bit of a path there, right? So
Yeah.
there's like a bit of a path. Sorry, I'm not. My head is really feeling the vertigo. So this cat has like followed, has been leaping from these little floating island to floating island, because it sees this plant over here that it wants to check out because it's curious about it. So
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to get at here is that, I mean, the Knight of Wands has energy. Like it is one of those, because, people talk about the knights and how much energy each of them have. And we tend to think of the wands as knights that are moving, at a fair clip. And so I was trying to show that without necessarily having the cat, jumping per se, but it's about to, to make this last leap to kind of show that this cat is on a mission. Sorry, I hope that made sense.
Definitely, yeah. It's quite nice and quite refreshing to see a Knight of Wands that actually you can see what it's aiming for. Because that, for me, quite often is where the Knight of Wands is lacking. They have lots of energy and they're expending lots of energy, but they're not often there's not often a goal in mind. For me, quite often the Knight of Wands is, energy for energy's sake, and the that kind of a chasing your tail type idea. So it's nice and
Right.
it's different and it's refreshing to see a Knight of Wands where we can actually see what they're aiming for, where there's a goal in mind. And I think
Right.
that's quite important for our passion projects, for our our careers, or our whatever we might be associating with the wands in a particular reading. But it's always important to be mindful of the journey, and we really see the journey depicted, but also have a goal in mind.
Yes, for
So
sure. And the flower there is called a gloxinia.
okay.
And the idea behind that flower is that, I mean, one of its meanings, as usual, many plants have various meanings, but one of the meanings gets at having a really, like a proud and accomplished kind of sense of self, which, felt good as it relates to the knight and the solar plexus, right? So that knight is on a mission to get to that. So that, though they are a specific flower, and the flower type is named in the description in the guidebook.
Yeah, brilliant. And we see that theme through the Knight of Chalices and the Knight of Swords as well. That theme of movement. So these cards really do have a that kind of a movement feel to them. We see the Knight of Chalices as mid leap between these kind of a stones, or the kind of a stepping stones type things. The Knight of Swords looks as though it's leaping through a tree. We're almost back to that spooky tree. We're back to those kind of a challenging environments that the swords often depict. The swords are often read as the challenges in life. So here you know, we're seeing this cat almost like kind of a leaping from branch to branch. It's
Yes.
having to look and think ahead about, right, okay, is this branch going to support me? Is it going to fall apart from under me? You know, there's a real kind of an aspect of like forward planning involved here. But it's
Yes.
this I really get this idea of kind of a leaping through the challenges that life presents us, and how we deal with that and respond to it.
And
Is quite
also
cool.
there's there's also an element of asking us to change our perspective or to consider if we've looked at things from different perspectives in this one. So, you know, we see in a lot of these cards, we're kind of looking at things, you know, from the side or, you know, from the ground level. So here we're looking up into, you know, into this tree because we can see the moon, right? That the moon is through a thinly overcast sky. And there's a sense of, you know, where we've really shifted perspective and maybe so maybe we actually feel vulnerable. Like we're seeing the cat's underside, right? That's not something that you tend to see on a cat, you know, unless they really trust you. But we're not in that kind of case here, right? The cat is leaping from branch to branch and having to figure out its path. And you know, when we're doing that, sometimes we may feel vulnerable, right? When we're having those Knight of Swords types of times, we can feel vulnerable as we rethink what our path is and how it aligns with who we are as people. But that's important thinking to do.
Yeah, definitely. And as is traditional with Knights of Pentacles, this knight is more slow moving. There's still you know, we can still see an aspect of movement in it, but it's not as, you know, it's not as energetic as the other three, which is typical of the Knight of Pentacles. They are the slower moving knight, much more kind of a considered, you know, much more kind of a tortoise versus the hare type idea.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, no, that's I like the kind of the way that the movement is depicted across the 4 cards.
Yes, and that's a hummingbird there that the cat is, you know, stopping to observe. You know, and you can tell there's no hostility here, right? It's more about, you know, noticing and observing and taking in, you know, this new element in their environment as they're on their journey.
Yeah, very cool. Our Queen of Wands has this cool little kind of almost looks like a volcano effect in the background there.
Yep, that's right.
And then to contrast that, we have the waterfalls and the Queen of Chalices. So they're actually quite cool to look at side by side.
Yes. And just something that I wanted to point out here too is that the sorry, my brain, for the queens and kings, they have each of the cards has a juniper, like a small juniper bonsai type tree growing in the scene. Now it's in a bonsai style, just so that it's noticeable, because otherwise a small juniper isn't necessarily clear that it's a juniper, but they are junipers. And that gets at the idea of wisdom and, you know, and resourcefulness and, you know, the kind of mastery that comes when you have reached the queens or the kings. So, but anyway, sorry, I just wanted to point that out quickly. I think you were in the middle of asking a question. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I don't think I was. I was just kind of looking at I was just taking in the images, to be honest. The skies are all really beautiful in the Queen cards. We have this beautiful starry night sky and the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Chalices, we have this kind of what looks like a morning sunrise type scene. Beautiful blue, clear blue sky. And the Queen of Swords, And then this kind of this lovely sunny sky that we see in the background behind the trees and the Queen of Pentacles.
Yes.
So the skies are really depicted really nicely on these cards.
Yes. Yeah. They're all these queens all feel exactly like queens.
Yeah.
Right. And regardless of gender or sex, these queens are, they all have that sense of, the feel that comes across in all of these is that sense um, of maturity that comes with the queens. They're also connected to the third eye, and how are
Yeah.
we, how that wisdom and intuition is put to use. And how because we can use our wisdom and intuition with that sense of responsibility, both in terms of stewardship, within ourselves, but also in terms of how we translate that to others.
Yeah. I am. So what I'll do here, to demonstrate my or to say what I mean, I'm going to put the kings down now.
Yeah, yeah.
The kings are aligned to the throat chakra.
Yes, that's right.
So the keen-eyed amongst us will notice that when we look at the page, knight, queen, and king, the chakras go crown, solar plexus, third eye, and then throat.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
So that aligns with. So I have this thing with the quartz, right? I don't do, so for me, it's not page, knight, queen, king, or if it is, that it's not like a hierarchy in that order. If there is some kind of hierarchy, it's page, knight, king, and the queen is at the top. And the reason that I see it like that is because the way I see the page, the knight, and the king is they're kind of like the beginner, the intermediate, and the expert.
Yeah.
The pages are the kind of the students, the new starters, the kind of beginners, the enthusiastic ones that are just want to soak in all that information and learn and experience things, right?
Yes.
The knights are the worker bees, they're the intermediates, they are the people of action, and they're the ones kind of doing all the legwork and getting the stuff done. And then the kings are like the managers, they're the experts, they're the overseers, that kind of thing. And you kind of think, right, okay, well, where does that leave? Where are the queens then? The queens are the link between all of those stages. The queens
Mhm.
are the environment that lets us get from page to knight to king. You know, the queens almost sit outside of that kind of a spectrum, if you want to look at it that way. So the reason I'm harping on about this is because to me it's really cool that the queen and the order of the chakras, the queens sit above the kings, because they go
Yep.
from bottom to top. But then if you're going page, knight, queen, king, then it goes queen and then back down to king.
Yeah. Well, and
So
part of that also relates to the so folks can go onto my blog to read in more detail about how I assigned the chakras, because I didn't just sit there and and think of associations out of the clear blue sky. Like it is research, and it is based on two other existing systems. But I think that the systems of the tree of life in Kabbalistic teachings, and the wisdom of the chakras and the associations with the middle pillar. There is so much wisdom that combines there. And so I just love exactly what you said, Chris, that it really, it pulls all of them together in then the wise use of all of those pieces, right?
yeah,
Oh, and sorry,
yeah,
just while we're on the kings, just there also will be a little bit of color brightening for the King of Wands as well, in case people are wondering. Just of the stones, the stone is a bit dark, so that has been brightened.
Oh,
for
cool.
the final
Cool.
version. Yeah.
I panicked there when you started talking about the colours because I'm looking at this King of Chalices and I'm like, don't touch this.
No,
It is
no, the King of
perfect.
Chalices is perfect. Yeah, King of
Yeah,
Chalices
this
is perfect. The
absolutely stunning.
the Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights, have very, very they're very close to my heart. They have very significant meaning to me. And so and so it was important to reflect it in that card. But yeah, no, the colors on that card are not being changed.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And Simon's with us. He in the chat just says, "I love the King of Chalices in this deck. It's so beautiful."
Oh, I'm so
Um,
glad.
this is just so pretty. I was thinking as I was going through it. I don't know if you've seen Malamir, but in past lives, I've painted, drawn inspiration from. I think I've only used Rachel Pollock's Shining Tribe Tarot, but I was
Mhm.
just kind of absent-mindedly thinking as we were going through this, like, oh, if I was going to paint a card, what card would I want to be inspired by? I think I've found my
Oh, I
card.
love
If I was
that.
going to paint a card, then I think as long as you're cool with it, I
Oh
think I'd
yeah.
love to try and kind of paint this. Because yeah, it's just she's beautiful.
I'm so glad you think so.
Yeah, definitely.
And the cute little behind the scenes fun fact about the King of Pentacles, for people who know, after I lost my soulmate cat last year, we adopted a Maine Coon who had actually quite a mysterious appearance in the city that I live in, and I truly believe actually that my soulmate cat came back. I don't think he remembers that's who he is, but he came back, and so now he is Goliath, and that is Goliath, the massive cat. Who, I will remind people, my cat is 3 times the size and weight of my dog, because the dog is a little Chihuahua and the cat is a Maine Coon, and he is gigantic. So he is very regal, and that's why he is almost that name, because Maine Coons had that name. So that is Goliath. He's snuck off to be in this deck, while he's also at the same time curled up next to me with his face covered by his massive paws.
Oh, that's really cute. When you were saying 3 times, I thought you were going to say 3 times the size and weight of a normal cat, and part of me panicked inside. I was like, "Are you sure that's a cat you've got there?"
Well, he's
but
very healthy. Like, he's at a perfect weight for his size. It's just, yeah.
yeah,
He's he is indeed a cat, Maine Coon, but he's actually a smaller Maine Coon. Like, we think he's a Maine Coon mix, perhaps. But
right,
some Maine Coons can be like 35 pounds, and he's certainly not 35 pounds.
right, okay, wow. Well, yeah, it's a beautiful card, so it is, and it's such a nice way just to kind of round off the deck. So it
Yeah,
is that final, that King of Pentacles card.
yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. I think the deck, like so I'm not particularly a cat person. I've never been brought up around cats. I've never had a pet cat myself. Generally, I'm quite wary of cats until I get to know them. So I'm not a cat person, and I'm not a cat deck person. But you've managed to, you've managed to kind of convince me. You've turned me. I love it. I think that you've created something. You and Ella, you've created something absolutely amazing. And what was I going to say there? No, the thought's gone out my head. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And I'm really excited to see, the finished product,
In the
the
box and with the chunky guidebook, and yes, yes.
yeah, and with it and on this cardstock, because this
Yeah.
is quite glossy cardstock, you know. So when you're comparing these, like just look at the
Oh
difference.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like the
it affects
exactly.
it affects how the images come across, you
It
know.
does.
So I'm excited to see um how it is, you know, as intended, you know, on the proper cardstock and
Yes.
its proper box and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy
Yes,
for
yes,
you, and I
absolutely.
can't wait for the finished product.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for the support. Thank you for having me on here
Oh,
and yeah, and for just for people who are curious about the cardstock and all that information, it's all on my website at acornandburdock.ca. Feedback that I've received about the cardstock from Chakra Healing Tarot, I've mentioned it before. People love how the cardstock shuffles, especially riffle shufflers, just love it. So it will be the same cardstock. It will be the same box design. And as we know from Simon's Live this past weekend, apparently the box is really, really sturdy. So even
yeah,
when the box decides to jump off the shelf, it stays closed apparently. um,
yeah,
so and the guidebook is it's a nice solid guidebook in terms of length. It'll be about the same length, 200 pages, and it has all the information that people will need. And one difference between the Chakra Healing Tarot guidebook and the Cat Aura Tarot guidebook is that for Chakra Healing Tarot, I did not include art descriptions because they were humans, and so it's a little more obvious what's happening in the scene. But for the cats, it's not necessarily always obvious because we're not cats, and so I wanted to make sure that there was an art description to make it really clear what is going on in each scene. But then, of course, there will be the message from the card, as well as 3 sets of key phrases. The first set of key phrases will be vibrant key phrases. So that relates to where a chakra is vibrant. And the key phrases of that card in relation to the vibrancy. Or if we're dealing with a situation where a chakra is not in its best health, and it is suppressed, there's also key phrases that speak to that. And then there are also more traditional key phrases that relate to each card. So all of that information is in the guidebook. There's also tarot spreads, a meditation, and a ritual. And those are all going to be in the guidebook as well.
brilliant. So I just to round us off, I wanted to pull a card from the deck. So if
Oh,
you saw me
lovely.
shuffling
Yeah.
there, that's why. And I thought I'll pull a card. People can take this card how they want. This is a card for the weekend for you, or I was thinking like a wee card just to, just for the deck itself. Given that it's a new project that's just being released, and I actually don't think that we could have got a more perfect card. We've got the two of
Oh,
chalices,
lovely.
and the fact that we're talking about this is your second deck that you've created,
Yeah.
it is such a beautiful deck to pair with the Chakra Healing Tarot. Just because they talk to each other on so many levels. I think we really see that coming through with this card. Um, and the two of chalices here. We have the kind of the black and the white. We're looking at the two different aspects. This makes me think of like different things coming together
Yeah.
and creating something maybe in a situation where we wouldn't normally have expected them to. I mean, we've got two cats sitting here looking out over a body of water. Now we normally think cats hate water, cats stay away from water, and yet we have these two cats that have come together to just enjoy this beautiful, expansive, powerful body of water that we see.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, things happening and coming together out of the blue, maybe like unexpected. Think about what we're talking about with that page of chalices card. That unlikely pairing, that pairing of things that others they might speak bad of. They might say, "Oh, well, that's not right. You shouldn't be doing that." That's not, that's not the way it's normally done. But fuck the way that it's normally done, because like Malumir was saying, those kind of a systemic, impressions, those things that have been put on us through time. It's sometimes it's your job to break those barriers and to go ahead and to do the thing that our heart wants to do it, and not maybe how our brain and the people around about us are telling us we should be doing it.
Absolutely. And Chris, you also, you have no idea how much that also just spoke to another somewhat related but unrelated endeavor that I've been considering. And I I think that's the universe's nudge that, yes, Malumir, you are thinking exactly the right thing, but also that, this cat deck, I think I mentioned it last time, demanded to be made. It wasn't actually part of the original plan, but I just couldn't stop thinking about these cats, and I had to make it. And so I think that is really fitting, for me personally, for this project, and I hope it also resonates with others. Thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Right, folks. Well, I want to thank the people that have been here, Stephanie, Simon, Jan. Thank you so much for being here. It has been lovely having you. I know it's been a wee bit quieter, but that's okay. This isn't my normal live time. It's a Wednesday evening. You're not used to seeing me today. Hopefully, I'm hoping that people will watch back. I have linked this video in the description of my side by side that I posted yesterday, I think. So yeah, I'm hoping that people will come and check out the interview. Now that we've got both the major and the minor up. I'll put a link to Malumir's website. That's acornandburdock.ca.
That's right.
I remember that right? Yeah.
That's right.
And that's where you can go and check out all of the amazing thing that Malumir's created, including the Chakra Healing Tarot and the Cat Aura Tarot. And you can pre-order the Cat Aura Tarot and purchase a copy of the Chakra Healing.
Thank you, Chris. You're very kind. Thank you so much also for having me, and a big thank you to everyone who's been here on the live. Your support really means a lot, and especially it's a Wednesday, and for the folks who are in the UK, it's quite late in the evening. So your support just means so much to me. And even more so given the time that has recently been for me. So thank you so much. And Chris, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support and for having me on here. It's been lovely.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Thank you so much for doing this, for coming on with me, for being willing to share this amazing creation with me. And yeah, as always, it's been lovely having the opportunity to speak to you. So thank you so much, Malumir. Thanks everyone in the chat. I hope everyone has, if I don't speak to you, I hope you have an amazing rest of the week, an amazing weekend. Take care, everyone, and we shall see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.